right. Welcome back to Where Are We Eating, the food podcast that brings world history to the table. I'm Kaya.
And I'm Kira.
And every week we bring you a story time with anecdotes and observations, sometimes relevant, most of the time not. This week, it's a little bit of a different format. I'm calling these trail mix episodes because it's a little bit of a mix and match, not necessarily related items, but their histories aren't so long and detailed that we can get a full episode, like a full 20 to 30 minutes that we try to get.
So they're little snackies.
They're little snackies for sure. A little pick and mix, little finger foods, little girl dinner, if you will.
A little food for thought.
For sure. Absolutely. So I have two prepared today. Would you like to start with a more recent history or go further back and come forward?
Let's go further back and bring me back to here.
Okay, cool. So, what do you know about the history of tamarind?
I know all of the history of tamarind. I do not. I know nothing about the history of tamarind.
Okay, that's cool. So, you know what tamarind is. You've eaten
yes.
tamarindo, if you will.
Yes, I have.
So good.
Delicious.
It is delicious. And whenever I see tamarind, tamarindo, well, those are the only two languages I can read. So when I see those on a menu, I order without asking questions.
That's like a root, right? Is it a root?
No.
What is it? What is tamarind?
Tamarind.
I know it's delicious.
Tamarind is a legume that grows on a tree.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's related to the pea.
It just feels like it would be like ginger-esque.
Even
though, like, not that it tastes like ginger. It just has ginger vibes to me.
It's a strong flavor.
Like, I feel like it would be from underground.
Yeah, it seems like only the earth can contain the amount that you get, or the amount of flavor that you get from. Yeah. No. It's in a pod, and it's like beanie type things. Like, are you gonna Google a picture of it?
Yes, I should.
You can. While I describe it, Google a picture of it. So yeah, it grows in a long pod. They start out green and do kind of look like a pea, and then they dry out into a brown, and that's typically when they're like, or that's how you find them, usually dried in like supermarkets.
Oh, yeah, they look so weird.
They do look really weird.
Oh, boy.
And they grow on a really big tree, which is...
Okay, that tree looks dope.
Yeah, they're used ornamentally. They're used for carpentry because the wood is really nice as well. It's just like...
The trees look like they're growing a little mix of peanuts and poop.
Well, peanuts are also legumes, so you're not far off.
What the heck do you mean peanuts are like legumes?
Legume is like a category of like food, I guess. Flora, maybe? Like, I don't know. Different fruits and vegetables are categorized. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. So, like, legume is a particular type, and I think one major aspect of a legume is that they add, let me get my sentence straight, they add nitrogen back into the soil, because certain plants require certain nutrients, and then they release others as like a byproduct, and legumes, I'm pretty sure, release nitrogen, and that I think is something that categorizes them together.
Interesting.
Maybe also
apparently, according to the AI overview on Google, legumes, which is how I'm pronouncing it, have multiple seeds within a pod. Yeah. Whereas nuts usually only have one seed per shell.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, peanuts have more than one, peas have more than one, tamarind has more than one.
It's a pea legume.
Google legume plus nitrogen cycle to see if it's all legumes or just peanuts. Or beans. Beans are also legumes. I got really excited about that. Beans! Beans are also legumes!
Reading the AI overview, in the nitrogen cycle, legumes play a crucial role by fixing atmospheric nitrogen gas into a usable form through a symbiotic relationship with bacteria called rhizobia, which lives in nodules on the legume's roots.
Okay, cool. So I was right.
Yeah. Converting unusable nitrogen gas from the air into ammonia that the plant can utilize.
Yeah, a little pat on the head for me.
Good job. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, that is ag science that I took when I was accidentally an FFA for a year in high school. I learned something.
Very Central Valley of you.
It is 100% small town Central Valley. Yep, Central Wonderful. San Joaquin Valley. That's me. Where
represent.
Huh? Represent the 559 for sure. Yeah, they're very proud of us. Moving on. Yeah, so tamarind grows on trees. It's a legume, which means, like we've learned, the fruit is a pod with multiple seeds inside. There's like a pulp around the seeds, which is used as the fruit. The seeds aren't used. Like the nut is the fruit. In this, the seed is, I think, discarded or planted. The pulp inside is what is eaten.
The pulp is the nummy stuff.
The pulp is the nummy stuff. Dope. Yes.
Dope.
That's the flavor. That's what we're looking for. So it's actually an ancient.
I think I burped into my mic, but excuse me if I did. Continue.
Okay, so tamarind is a pretty ancient ingredient and fruit. It is originally from Africa, but has been cultivated in India for millennia, for a long time. So the name tamarind itself comes from Arab traders calling it Tamar Hind or Indian date in their language. So through the Middle Ages, it was written about by herbalists, and they called it Tamar Hindi. And then it was written by Marco Polo. Okay. Wow, that sentence got real scrambled. It was written by Marco Polo, who called it Tamar Andi, which is similar but different spelling. But they spoke probably different languages, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's all pretty similar. So it was in Africa and then Southeast Asia. And then with trading and different Silk Roads and such, it it went all over Asia. So it also made its way to the Philippines, which is Southeast Asia. And Spain colonized the Philippines in the 1500s. And around that time, they also had colonies in Mexico and South America. But we're focusing on Mexico. So the way that they communicated with their colonies in the Philippines, they had what they called the Manila Galleon, which was a huge ship, a lot bigger than this one. It was a huge ship that they would pack with goods and different documents and whatever they needed to communicate and also transport went on this ship. And it was an annual trip, so it went one way for a few months, then the other way. So it went round trip once a year.
Oh.
Okay, so the Manila Galleon had its annual trip. It went back and forth, round trip, once a year between Manila and Acapulco in Mexico.
Yep.
And that was the only way for them to have communication between the colonies. So it set up a steady trade route between Southeast Asia and the Americas, and it kept them in communication. Some of the common goods that they transported were Chinese silk, porcelain, ivory, spices, seeds, and other exotic goods. So this was basically how it got from Philippines, Southeast Asia, to the Americas. Because it's huge in Mexican cooking and candies.
The candies.
But it's also huge in Southeast Asian cooking and candies. So it's like, that was my question. How the heck is one thing so popular everywhere? Like potatoes.
Trade routes, man.
Trade routes. So, I mean, the warm climate in Mexico, tamarind thrived. So it was cultivated there, beloved. Now we eat it today, salted in candies.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Delicious. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Tamarindo. That's where it's from. And that's it. See, it's a quick little story. Not quite a full episode, but it's fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
Little nugget for your trail mix.
Yep.
For your knowledge trail mix.
Little brain nugget.
Okay. Next one.
Oh yeah, boy.
Okay. What do you know about the history of boba?
Not a lot.
Okay. So, it's from Taiwan.
I do know that.
You did know that.
I did know that it was from Taiwan.
It is from Taiwan. So, as I researched this, Taiwan has been colonized by a lot of different countries.
Yeah.
It was not a fun history to read.
Yeah.
So, milk and sugar, because typically boba is in a milk tea. You can also get like just regular tea, but
or smoothies,
which
is my personal favorite way to get boba.
Good to know. But milk and sugar were added to tea starting around the Dutch colonization in 1624 to 1662, so the 1600s.
Oh, okay.
So since then in Taiwan, milk and sugar were added to the tea. It's recording.
Yeah, it's still going.
Yeah.
Stop making sounds.
I know. So so the milk and sugar came from the Dutch to make a milk tea, a sweeter tea, instead of just like the traditional Chinese hot tea.
Yeah.
And then cassava, which is what tapioca is from, was brought by the Japanese during their occupation of Taiwan. So this is how the two ingredients made their way to Taiwan. But there's the precursor to boba and milk tea, or as we know it now, bubble tea, was bubble foam tea, which was started in 1949 by an entrepreneur. I'm coming across this word again. Entrepreneur. It's a lot of R's in there.
I thought entrepreneur.
There's
we're Googling.
There's I'm looking at it right now. Entrepreneur. It might be like how to pronounce. Can you do how to pronounce?
Yeah.
Entrepreneur.
Pronunciation. Entrepreneur. Oh my god. It is entrepreneur. Entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I need to stop trying to say it.
Entrepreneur. Or maybe we should just get really good at saying entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur. It doesn't sound like a real word anymore.
It really doesn't.
So, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, gosh, I can't even speak. Okay. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, the genesis of bubble tea can be traced to 1949 when an entrepreneur and former bartender, Chang Fan-shu, developed a tea that was shaken in a martini mixer to create a foamy surface.
Oh.
So that was the first bubble tea. It was actual bubbles that was created by shaking the tea in a mixer with ice, like a cocktail. Ooh, excuse me.
So it was a bubbly bubble tea.
Yeah, exactly. It was a bubbly bubble tea. So that was basically how it started. So it was cold, it was iced, and it was shaken and foamy. So that was the bubble tea, bubble foam tea. It was called both. But, so that was the early precursor. It wasn't widely accessible until the economic boom of the 1980s. A lot of people in Taiwan couldn't afford extra luxuries like martini shaken tea.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So in the 1980s, there was this boom of like the economy boomed. So a lot of different people started doing different things. So there are 2 claims of inventing boba of what we know now. So the actual tapioca balls themselves were already widely used in desserts. So that's not what we're not talking about the invention of that. What we're talking about is adding them to the tea. So the tapioca balls were added to desserts. They were usually called pearls or frog eggs. And the reason some started calling them boba is because you know how they come in different sizes? So the littler ones were the pearls and frog eggs. And then certain merchants started using the bigger boba or the bigger pearls and used the slang term boba, which is slang for boobs, as kind of like a saucy marketing campaign to like both and then like accentuate the size of the tapioca pearls and also to be like make it like a funny like, oh, let's go get some boba, you know. So
that is funny.
That's what boba is. It's a Taiwanese slang for boobs. Also tapioca pearls now.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
And I feel like the sizes that I mostly see now would be the
boba,
be the boobs.
I agree. I prefer the pearls or frog egg size. But
really?
They're just like so nice. But
see, I like those in certain tapioca desserts. Like, you know, like what we think of tapioca pudding.
Yeah.
Or nam van, a Vietnamese. It was a Vietnamese? It could have been Lao. I don't know, but I eat it all the time in Fresno, and it's delicious.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and it also has like green squiggles in it. It's like coconut and agave that you put in there. Mix it all together. Ugh, delicious. I like those to be the pearls. But if it's in a drink, I want the boobs.
The boba. Okay.
Yeah, the boba.
Thank you. Cool. Yeah. I prefer the pearls. But you can't really find them for drinks.
No, you really can't.
Sometimes I ask, but I stopped asking because everyone was always like, no. We only have one size of boba. Like crazy. I'm just like, sorry. Okay. Anyways, sorry. So there are 2 stories. 2 people claim that they added boba to tea first and started selling it. Neither of them trademarked it or patented it. So there's not really like a legal base for like them to sue and be like, oh, we're the original. So, so there are 2 competing stories. One was they both come from famous tea houses because again in the 80s with the booming economy and with Taiwan's I didn't talk about this before, but Taiwan has pretty great resources weather-wise and land-wise for growing tea. So China used Taiwan for growing tea for a long time. So tea houses and tea culture really grew there. And then again, with the boom in the 80s, tea houses for regular people really boomed as well. So 2 really popular tea houses. The first one, the Chun Shui Tang Tea Room in Taichung. Taichung, Taichung. Taichung?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the first one. The founder, Luhan Che. Chia. Okay, Luhan.
That's what I'm going with.
Okay, so we're going with. Idea. I don't know. So he sold cold tea, and he saw it first in Japan, and when he was traveling there, brought it back, and cold iced tea, and so that selling the iced tea, the cold tea, really made his tea room more popular, and then. His company's product development manager, I didn't ask you about this one. Lin Suhi, LinHsiuHui.
Yeah, I think that was right.
Lin Suhi. Okay. She was the one who is said to have first put the tapioca balls, the pearls, into her tea in during a staff meeting, and she tried it, and she made other people try it. People liked it, so then they started selling it. Then it was really popular, and then they invented it. That's the first story.
Oh, okay.
The second,
but before you start the second one, is that the one that I said Zhonghe? TSH or TS?
No, that's the next one.
Okay. When we get to that, I think it's Songha.
Songha?
I think I read that like it was written in Hmong.
Okay.
So I've all the languages have just gone right to my head.
That's okay.
And they're all just
I think pretty much by this point everyone knows we don't speak Chinese well. 我不知道中文. Other than you.
That was I don't speak Chinese. I don't know Chinese.
Okay, yo, well.
我不知道.
Me neither. So
it's really important.
We're trying.
Say I don't speak Chinese.
Yeah, that's probably the most important phrase when you're starting. Because when you start understanding, then they think you know more than you do.
Oh yeah.
And then you just have to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was it. I ran out of Chinese.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Back to boba. So the second contender for the invention was the Hanlin Tea Room in Tainan. So another popular tea room in another part of Taiwan. And it was also in the late 80s. Both of them are saying either 86 or 88 that they were the first one to do it then. So this one was the tea house owner Tu Songhe was inspired by the white tapioca balls he saw in the local market of Yamulao. I was doing this because it had the diacritics above it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out if I was going to try to use them. I did not. So he saw them in the market and was inspired to use them in his own tea shop. So then he used them for traditional Taiwanese snacks, added them to the teas, and this was known as pearl tea, boba tea. So those are the two. There isn't really any, no one's taking a stand. Like, oh, they're the ones who did it. Oh, they're the ones who did it. It's just kind of like they both got to it pretty early and basically were the first ones in their regions to do it.
So they could have just been twinsiing it on accident.
Yeah, it could have been like chewing gum. Yeah. That like everyone's just chewing on stuff.
Yeah.
And they had tapioca pearls, they had tea, and they just put them together. Natural.
They do seem
natural
very
bedfellows
fitting together.
Yeah. So
and they are, because it's delicious.
Yeah.
I do want this noted that what you've all told me to like in this boba packed story really reaffirms why I do not call boba bubble tea. When people are like, oh, let's go get bubble tea, that's some East Coast stuff. Like, who in California have you ever heard say, let's go get bubble tea?
None. No.
Apparently,
no one.
That's like a shaken tea.
Yeah. That's a James
Bond boba.
That's a James Bond tea.
Yeah, that's a James Bond tea.
Shaken, not stirred. Unless it's shaken and there's like a nice foam on top, it's not a bubble tea. It's a pearl tea.
Yeah.
Or boba.
Yeah, it's a boba.
It's a boba.
It's a boba.
You're right.
This ain't no Django, it's boba. Sorry.
Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm glad you got there.
We're speaking of the fets.
Speaking of the fets.
I'm just kidding. So it was invented in the 80s, late 80s. Regardless of who did it first, it exploded in popularity. Everyone else started doing it once these two started.
That's wonderful. I love that it's the 80s.
Yeah.
Especially because now when I think of boba, I think of my time in Thailand where I would go get boba at the mall, walk around the mall, and then go get boba again because it was so cheap.
Yeah. So that's the boba culture now.
Yeah.
Especially like in Asia and...
Yeah. Well, so the fact that it was made in the 80s and when I'm in a place where it's cheap, it's usually when I'm in Thailand and I'm in the mall like I am in the 1980s. Like I'm just always at the mall.
Yeah.
That's where I get my steps in.
It's an important thing to do.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, spread like wildfire all over. It was all over Asia by the 90s. By the mid to late 90s, it was everywhere. Every country had its own basically boba culture. They would have their own like local local flavors that were more popular. Again, it's like a mix of the milk tea and just the regular cold tea. And then other toppings were added too, like jellies and things like that are also
like widely popular stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so depending on where you were at, you would be able to find more regional flavors. Yes.
I got like a honey lemonade with lychee one day in Minnesota. It was good, dude. It was good.
It sounds good.
I love honey.
Yeah.
It was good stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then it was everywhere else by the 2000s. And I will say that it was mentioned that it came to the U.S. via California. So I would say our calling it boba would be the more authentic experience. According to the internet.
Dang straight.
So I think
and even if we were proved wrong today, I would have still been like, it's boba.
It's boba because we want to use the cheeky.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry that we have flavor. This was aggressive. I love you, East Coast.
Are they watching this?
I don't know.
Okay, well, don't send it to them specifically. If they find it, they find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was so popular all over the 2000s. It ended up on fast food menus like Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's. They had offerings at various locations.
Oh, yeah, that was really funny. That was something I was never going to try.
Yeah, no.
That was just not happening.
Yeah, and that's boba.
Nice.
So yeah, a little fun trail mix episode with little fun facts, little nuggets here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do we think? What do we think of the trail mix format?
I do like the trail mix format.
Okay.
I'm vibing with it.
Okay, cool. So I'll keep an eye out because sometimes I do have on my list of topics.
Mm-hmm.
It's, how many do I have? I have 84 topics listed, and I have a few crossed off, the ones that we've covered. But some of them are just like a quick, this person did this at this time. This is named after the region it's from. So it's like, it's nice to know, and I would like to talk about it so we can talk about like our experience with the food as well. But not necessarily dedicate a whole episode.
Yeah.
Because we can't fill 30 minutes talking about whether or not we want to call it boba.
I mean, we probably could, but that probably wouldn't be for the best.
Yeah, no. People don't want to listen to us.
It would just be me getting more and more aggressive.
Yeah. I don't think people want to listen to that. So we will contain ourselves and our opinions.
Yeah.
More or less. Probably less.
And how fervently. It's boba.
You heard it here first, folks. Or, well,
not first.
Not first.
You heard it aggressively here,
you
folks.
Heard a strong stand taken here.
Yes.
Folks.
Better than most of my stands. Because I have really poor balance.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Fall down a lot.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Where Are We Eating? Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Instagram, YouTube. Leave a comment. Tell us whether you call it bubble tea or boba or pearl tea, or if you even like
pearl
it.
Pearl tea actually is also acceptable now to me.
Yeah, pearl tea. Yeah.
That's cute too.
Frog egg tea.
Frog egg tea. Actually, you know what? I think that might be the best.
Frog egg tea would be fun. So yeah.
Get me some frog eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope they don't turn into tadpoles.
I don't think these
We thought you turned into a frog.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, that was a Oh Brother Where Art Thou reference.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I get it. Sorry. I haven't seen that movie enough to just like readily understand.
Oh, but my dad watched it many times when I was a child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you for listening. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was good.
Thank you.